when things are going bad, don't get all bummed out, don't get startled, don't get frustrated. If you can say the word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well then hell, you still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, and go out on the attack.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another Iron Will podcast with me, Shane Warner, and
John Chase.
So what this podcast is all about is we are trying to get stories from people that have been through a traumatic experience in their lives and came out a different person.
Yeah, they have all created an iron will. So what is an iron will? A burning determination that cannot be stopped or hindered by anything. Willing to do anything to get a desired outcome. Extremely resilient. So what we like to say is just keep punching.
Yeah. So sit back and relax, and we're going to start the show.
We only have two, but
okay.
Right now we have 7 in the program. And my dog is in the program. He's fine, babe. She's technically my service dog. And what I do with her is I use her to teach the veterans how to be around a service dog. It's like a big learning curve, from going from just having a pet to having a dog that goes everywhere with you.
Like, what's the difference? I mean, like, you can't pet them or whatever when they're working.
Yeah, totally working. We don't want to. I allow people to pet my service dog.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like I'm an ambassador for our nonprofit. So for me, true. And I want people to know how to approach a service dog. So for me, I use it as a teaching tool. And so when someone asks, like a child, mostly children, I don't really let adults pet her because that's just distracting and I would never get anything done, you know? But mostly children, when I'm traveling, I'll be like, hey, thank you so much for asking, and I kind of use it as a teaching opportunity. And with that,
and a training opportunity for the dogs, right?
Yeah, exactly. My dog's old hat. She's got thousands of hours of training.
Yeah.
So, but some of these younger dogs, there's a procedure to it for me. It starts with them sitting and facing me. And then that way I can say, and them sitting patiently while I discuss it with the young person who's wanting to pet it. I'm like, well, a service dog's not a pet, and this is how we handle it. And this is how we approach them, and so it really kind of, it teaches the children, to ask before they reach out.
Be respectful.
Yeah. You'd be blown away at how many people just, reach for your dog.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, she's wearing a vest. She's got a sign on her,
I ask people, like, when I go to like PetSmart or whatever, I ask them. Oh,
I mean, as you should, really. I mean, technically they're property, by law, the dogs are property. So, I would never put my hands on your vehicle or, like your home, and so they fall under the same protections as like a piece of property. Whereas service dogs too, they're protected by the American Disabilities Act. So technically, when you have a service dog, and this is just stupid stuff, but if like you were to steal a service dog, it's considered kidnapping.
Yeah.
The crime is as grievous as kidnapping someone. So it's kind of crazy.
Like it should be, I think.
Right.
So I've been recording this.
He's already recording.
Yeah. So
that's cool, man.
So
we can piece it together or whatever. But
dude, I love it.
I want to just introduce you. So today we have Travis Hall on the podcast with us, and how I got connected with Travis was from Ellen Reed. And so she knows Travis and recommended him. So I want to tell a little bit about what Travis is into. So Travis runs a nonprofit organization called Second Chance Canine Service Dogs, and where they rescue high drive style dogs, working dogs, and place them with special operations guys. And awesome. So we obviously want to get into that, but first I'm going to let Travis kind of introduce himself and tell you like a little bit of his background and stuff like that. So here he is, Travis Hall.
Thanks, guys. I mean, I'm always kind of blown away when people want to know about me because I feel like I'm just like the average dude. You know, I actually on a YouTube live video I did a while back, one of the guys was like, "Man, he's just your average graybeard walking around the mall." You know what I mean? And I'm like, "Oh, cool. Thanks, bro, for boosting my confidence." You know. But about me, I'm a Green Beret. I'm still currently a Green Beret.
So you're like reserves or what?
I'm National Guard. Okay. So I'm a National Guard Green Beret. I left. I did 13 some change, almost 14 years active duty. And then I had an opportunity to go take a job that was just life changing, and I took it, and I worked there for 11 years. I've just recently stopped deploying so that I could focus on family, dogs. You know, I've always been doing this nonprofit, but we never really got to move forward with a nonprofit because when you disappear for 8-9 months a year, you know, it's kind of hard to grow something like this. So I made the conscious decision to kind of lay down the rifle and you know, become a for lack of a better term, philanthropist. Usually when you think about that, you think about some super rich dude who's just giving money, you know, and I'm not just giving money. I'm mostly giving my time.
That's super important in life. I value time more
especially
than money.
For what you're doing. Like the time that you put in with these dogs really makes them better, and it makes people be able to adopt them or have them as a service dog.
Yeah, that's great.
Absolutely. You know, and it started out like the guys were a byproduct, you know, having been special operations, Green Beret or special forces for so long. I kind of knew that what the dogs did for me. And so it was truly selfish in the beginning. I was saving these dogs from a horror, you know, some kind of horrible life, you know, and so whether it was abuse or neglect or, you know, and we were rehabbing them, and we were truly going for the worst of the worst dog situations, you know, like dogs that were severely underweight, that were, you know, being abused and stuff like that. And then we were just
tied up out in the yard or.
And we were rehabbing those dogs and giving them to, you know, mostly Green Berets because that's who I know, but we were giving them to them as pets, you know, and so.
Not service dogs.
Not service dogs at the time, but we kind of, since I am in that community, we know a bunch of people that were suffering. And so our very first dog was a friend of ours who was going through some programs, and he reached out and was looking for a dog when he graduated the programs. And so we were like, I had a dog that was my dog, you know, she was a puppy. She was very young and she was going to be my dog. But I was like, man, here you go. Take this dog. And, you know, I don't want to say names because I don't want to call anybody out, but I was like, take this dog and she'll change your life, you know, and you'll change her life. And so that was the very first dog we did. And, you know, we started it from there. You know, for me, the reason I gravitate towards the dogs that I do is because I was a dog handler in special forces.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah, I did 4 trips to Iraq with a dog, and he saved my life so many times.
Was it the same dog every time or different?
Same dog, same dog every time. You know,
so you developed a pretty good relationship with that
dude. Like he and I I still consider him the best friend I've ever had.
Yeah,
you know, like I mean, he's gone now. He died a few years ago from old age, but he was my best friend, you know, and so.
So do you have these dogs like on barracks or with
like a kennel?
Yeah.
So we have a kennel. It's extremely cold right now. So, it's in the, well, let me look. It's 22 degrees right now where we're at in Tennessee. So, every one of the dogs is in the house right now, which I try not to do because, it overburdens my wife and I with cleaning and stuff like that. But it's so cold out. We can't just have them outside right now. We don't have, a facility yet. We're a home-based organization. And, but we do have a rad kennel, you know, we have a rad outdoor kennel. I would like to build like a rad indoor kennel here. It's just, you know, it takes time to build to that level.
For sure.
Yeah. So can we backtrack a little bit and like, I want our listeners to hear about the sacrifices that being a commando takes.
When did you enlist? Like what age?
So I just, I was a little bit older. I had just graduated college and I had no direction. So I was 24 when I enlisted in the Army. That was in, 1997. Wow. The end of 97. So November-ish. This November I will have been serving in some form or capacity for 24 years.
So did you go in as an officer?
No, I went in as an enlisted guy. I kind of had a career path. A really good friend of mine who's no longer with us kind of set me up for success. You know, like I grew up in San Diego, so I grew up surfing with this guy. And he's a super famous guy. I don't want to drop names, but super famous guy that died, a hero. He and I would surf together just kind of randomly. And he was a SEAL. And he was like, and I talked to him about it. I was like, bro, I want to be a Navy SEAL. And he was like, okay, well, let's set you up, you know. And I went and talked to the recruiters and stuff like that. And foolishly, I didn't bring him with me. And the recruiters only gave me two options. They said I could be a nuclear tech on a submarine, or I could be a Chinese linguist. And I just didn't. I didn't want
both
anything
of those
to do
sound
with,
like so shitty.
I wanted nothing to do with either of those. So he fixed that for me and got me out of that. And from there, he walked me over to the Army recruiter, and he just set me up for success. You know, he picked infantry. You know, he picked me going to like, you know, just a rad place where I would learn really good skills to get me into, like, to set me up to be a Green Beret. You know, he knew I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. And I didn't know much about Green Berets at the time. Most of my family growing up was Navy. I have one uncle who was like a huge influence in my life when I was younger, who was, you know, just a badass in Vietnam. You know, he was in like the best of, you know, like he was in one of the units that like did the most in Vietnam. And so, you know, once I did decide to join the Army, I went and talked to him about it, and he was like stoked. You know, he was like,
that's awesome.
he was kind of like, he was a little mad at me for wanting to be in the Army, but at the same time, as I started to accomplish things,
he was cool with it eventually.
Yeah. As I started to accomplish,
you're all serving the same overall, you know,
goal.
Yeah.
But as I started to accomplish myself, you know what I mean, and as I, you know, became a Ranger and became a Green Beret, he's always just been super stoked on it, you know. So
can cool. you go over a little bit of the process that you have to go through to be a Green Beret? Like, do you have to be a Ranger first?
No, not at all. Okay. The process it starts with selection. So you go to a selection in North Carolina, and everybody shows up. There's like, when I went, there was like 400 people that showed up to go to this selection class. And, you know, and they just test you for, you know, almost a month, you know, they're just there.
Yeah.
They're kind of beating on you a little bit, not physically, but, you know, physically, but not like fist wise, you know, they're like, they're like, and they're not saying anything to you. They're just the whole time, they're just assessing you. Excuse me. And they're like watching what you do and watching how your scores, you know, and you basically work like 19 to 20 hours a day, you know, and some days you go even further, you know. You're taking classes on land navigation, you're doing PT like with them, you're doing team week, which is